back to PopCultX, your go-to for all things pop culture from our Gen X perspective. I am Danny, and along with Gabriel, we're your hosts with the most to talk about all things, like I said, pop culture. So with that being said, Gabe, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing good. Been watching some movies, some TV shows. How about yourself? How are you?
About the same. Movies, TV shows.
Nice.
Anything in particular that maybe caught your eye or captured your attention?
So last night I was kind of thinking, okay, let's be outside of the bubble and watch an independent short film. So I saw an independent short film by the name of The Chair that I actually was just streamed off of YouTube. It was interesting. It was about a man who finds a chair on the side of the road and takes it home, and it starts to create havoc in his life.
Okay.
I think it's probably maybe 20 minutes long, if that. And it was interesting. It was, a lot happens in a short period of time because it's in a short film format. But I do have to respect people that have the desire to create stories and to put them on film, and may not have the big budget to do a big full-length feature film, but they do short films, and sometimes they're just as entertaining. This one I would maybe not necessarily recommend to people. It wasn't the best horror film that I've seen, but it wasn't bad. It was entertaining for 20 minutes.
Right. So you admire more their gumption and go get it type of thing, as opposed to the actual film itself, which is fine.
And acting wasn't bad, and the way that it looked, the look of the movie was good. It just it just wasn't that great, but I do admire their tenacity to be able to put some ideas onto film and to create a short story and have that entertain the masses, if you will, even though they may be and I say that maybe they're limited by budget, but there are people that prefer short filmmaking versus feature film. So I shouldn't say that it's because of a lack of budget, but it was entertaining.
That's what films are supposed to be at the end of the day, right? So there you go. I watched two films. Now that you're talking about films, I watched one called Self-Reliance. It was a directorial debut of Jake Johnson, also starring Jake Johnson, and along with Anna Kendrick. And it was an interesting film. It basically has Jake Johnson's character as a moping around, stuck in his life type thing, and he gets invited to play this dark web reality show where he's gonna have hunters trying to kill him for a month, and if he survives, he wins $1 million. So nice. He finds a loophole in the game rules where the hunters can't kill innocent bystanders. So as long as he's with someone for those 30 days, they can't attack him.
Oh, wow.
So it's about his forming relationships and moving on with his life there. So it was good. I mean, it was I don't want to call it a short film, but it was short, hour and a half. So it was good. And the other one I watched was double that length. And that was Ari Aster's new film, Beau is Afraid, starring Joaquin Phoenix. That movie was weird. Of course, if you know Ari Aster, the director with Midsommar and other films like that, it was out there. It was quite interesting. It followed Joaquin Phoenix, who played this lead role of Beau. And of course, he is afraid of everything. And it follows his adventure trying to get home for his mom's funeral. So it was 3 hours long. At times it felt like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
But every time something new scene would happen, I'll be like, whoa, what was that? Why did that happen? I just question his choices, not in a bad way, just like what made him think to do that type of thing. And it was interesting. Yeah. I mean, I sat through it. I watched it all. It was enjoyable. It left me at the end with like, okay, that's how it ends.
I'll have to check it out because I am a big fan of Joaquin Phoenix. He definitely takes some daring choices when it comes to the acting roles that he does or he portrays. So I'm interested and intrigued by what that film might
entail. I think I think you should watch it. You'll get a kick out of it, definitely.
Nice.
And there was talks about him being snubbed for the Oscars from that role because of that,
Oh,
or
really?
because of his lack of nomination, I guess.
Yeah.
But speaking of Oscars, I think it's time, don't you? I mean, I did comb my hair, made it look pretty for PopCultX's fourth annual Academy Awards celebration, well, or prediction show, I guess.
Nice.
So let's just dive right into that. Of course, as we know, from the time of this recording, the Academy Awards are in 1 week from now, and we're excited to just talk a little bit more about the Oscars, what it means to us, stuff that we've maybe seen in the past or what we're looking forward to in the future. We also have a guest interview that we're going to be playing that I did with a very wise film buff, film enthusiast, or maybe as she calls, just a fan. And that is coming up later on in this episode. So look forward to that as well. So with that being said, um, the major films of the past year that created a lot of buzz and secured nominations, which of those really stood out to you for getting nominated or maybe were left off of the nominations?
I think that the big movie that I'm really rooting for this year is Martin Scorsese's film
Mhm.
about the Osage
Killers of
Native
the Flower
American.
Moon. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that that was a really entertaining movie. It told a story that we often don't see or is not often told. So
That's true.
it was really entertaining. It was thought provoking. It's a true story. So it is like a teachable film as well. The acting was superb, and the directing was really good as well. So I'm really rooting for that film.
Yeah, definitely. That was another 3 hour long movie.
Yeah. But it didn't feel like it. It definitely um, made me. I was glued to my chair while watching the film and didn't want it to end or I was entertained fully the full time of the movie.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, it was a good movie, definitely. And
Yeah.
it was like, do I root for DiCaprio's character or am I supposed to root against him? And so
Yeah.
it brought up a lot of different emotions. And, of course, since you said, like you said, it's based on a true story. So it had that underlying emotional weight to it. So yeah, it's definitely one that created a lot of buzz. Of course, the other 3 hour long movie, Oppenheimer, I think also created a lot of buzz. Now I know you
Right.
watched that one, correct?
I did.
Okay. So I just saw it
And that's a
recently.
great film as well. I think that it it's a story that is kind of new to the mass audience, to the
Mhm.
population. Not a lot of people were aware of what happened or the intricacies or the specific details of what
Yeah.
occurred. I would say that that's a very close second for me. It was a really great film, very entertaining. Also, obviously based on a true story. So that would be a very close second for me.
Yeah, definitely. It was really eye-opening, I guess, because I mean, we all know, well, at least we should know the history of the atomic bomb, and so we're not doomed to repeat history, right? But
Right.
I think, like you said, a lot of the intricacies and a lot of the nuances that maybe we weren't privy to or that we didn't take time to learn about, it showed us. I mean, of course, they were probably Hollywoodized, I guess. They were glamorized to a certain extent, but I thought it was a really fantastic film, especially knowing that Nolan did everything practical and no CGI really. So
Yeah.
it was really good. And the acting, the ensemble cast he put together was just fantastic in that movie.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah. Definitely for sure. What about the best actors who are nominated
Oh yeah, we can get into nomination who's nominated right now. For actors in a leading role, of course, there's Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Coleman Domingo and Rustin, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Killian Murphy for Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction.
Hmm.
So I don't
American
want your
Fiction.
prediction just yet. Don't
Yeah.
give me your predictions just yet. We'll get to those in a little bit.
Okay.
But maybe you could talk about maybe an actor who might have been left out. Was there anyone that maybe got snubbed?
I don't know. I don't think was Leonardo DiCaprio nominated.
No, he wasn't. You're right.
I would say that Leonardo
Okay.
DiCaprio did a really great job.
Yeah.
Uh, playing someone that is definitely not a good guy, but
Mhm.
he did a really good job portraying his character in that film.
Yeah, now I that is very true. He was not nominated. And I would say I haven't seen Rustin or American Fiction, so I'm not sure about those Coleman's or Jeffrey Wright's performances.
Yeah.
But Paul Giamatti did a great job as well. So it's like it's always that okay, if someone is snubbed, who do you leave out or who do you replace, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good question.
Yeah, I really like Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction. That was a really good movie, good role for him, well acted. Uh, I mean, I know who I think is going to win. Who I would, if I had to put my money down and bet, I know who I think that is going to win, but they're not necessarily who I would want to win.
Okay, and we will get to that. Stay tuned, everyone, for Gabe's predictions. So the nominees for actors in a supporting role I thought were also great, and that's Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction as well, Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling for Barbie, which we didn't even talk about the buzz Barbie created, and Mark
Yeah,
Ruffalo for Poor Things. Those are some tough choices there as well.
yeah. Poor Things is. Have you seen Poor Things?
I haven't. I want to watch it. It's one of
It's
those
so
ones
good.
that is it? Okay.
It's really good.
Okay, cool. That might be like the dark horse that wins it all then.
I really like Mark Ruffalo as an actor. He did a
Mhm.
great job in that film.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, outside of like his Hulk roles, I mean, I really like his performances in like Just Like Heaven or Begin Again. And those, yeah, he does comedic roles really well. Although is Poor Things considered a comedy? I'm not sure.
It's funny in certain parts.
Okay. So it has comedic elements.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, moving on. Let's go to actress in a leading role. The nominees are Annette Bening for Naiad, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and Emma Stone for Poor Things.
Yeah. That it's going to be hard. That there are
Yeah.
some really great performances this year
Hmm.
by those actresses. Really, really hard.
Yeah, I agree. And also in the supporting role for actors, those are some really tough or really great performances as well, such as Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, America Ferrera for Barbie, Jodie Foster for Naiad, or Davine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers.
Yeah, hard. Definitely. I obviously like I have a soft spot for America Ferrera. I love her. Um, between her and Ryan Gosling, they're kind of representing the team for Team Barbie.
Yeah,
I don't know what kind of chances she has, but she did a great job in Barbie for sure.
agree. So yeah, I think before we go any further in the nominations, let's stop for a minute and let's talk about well, I guess you've said this, the Super Bowl of fashion, right?
Mhm.
And that's the red carpet for the Academy Awards. And they're always a hits and misses, I guess. And
Yeah.
but before we get into what we think this year might look like, what have been like some of your most memorable red fashion moments or red carpet moments?
Oh, got it. It's hard to pick. I think Angelina Jolie is definitely a standout for me. She always looks amazing. Um, Cher at the Academy Awards,
Okay.
with her infamous outfit, with like the feathers sticking out of her hair and cutouts and all of that. And I think some of the guys that just are courageous enough to go outside of the box and not just
Mhm.
wear a regular tuxedo. I think that they always stand out for me, because it makes things a little bit more fun, a little bit more creative.
Yeah, I think back to like Billy Porter and his flair for the dramatic, I guess. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's hard for me without actually seeing the pictures to tell you which ones I can think are memorable. I guess
Right.
none really stick with me except for in that moment. And when I'm looking at them, oh wow, that's really cool and whatnot. So I don't know. That's just me though.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of times the musical performers that perform at the Academy Awards kind of bring a little bit more fashion
Mm,
and
true.
creativity. Like, when they have Celine Dion sing for best song,
Hmm.
the Gaga's performing, etc. It They kind of stand out for me as well because they tend to be a little bit more creative when it comes to the fashion.
So do you think Ryan Gosling's going to sing or perform his song that's nominated this year?
Oh, I didn't know that. I hope so. I hope that, I mean, it would bring some fun to the show and kind of alleviate some of the tension I'm sure that a lot of the nominees are feeling, and kind of just have a fun moment,
Yeah,
alleviate.
I think that would be awesome to see him out there with a bunch of other of the Barbies, right? Performing
Yeah,
I'm Just Ken. I think that would be so much fun.
yeah.
I mean, I think the other song's the one by Billie Eilish from also from Barbie. So both two songs from Barbie were nominated. So that's like they got 40% of the nomination. So their chances that Barbie will win Best Original Song are pretty high.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Billie Eilish is gonna to accept an award that night. I think her odds are pretty good.
That'll be 2 years in a row then, wouldn't it?
Did she win last year as
I think
well?
she won for the James Bond theme last year, didn't she?
I don't know if it was exactly last year.
I think it might have been because I was rooting for a different song to win, and she won, and I was kind of mad about it. Let me take a look real
Yeah.
quick. Music song. Um, oh no, it didn't win. You're right. My bad. Maybe it was
You were
the year
still
before.
mad.
Maybe it was the year before. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So the Not Two from RRR won last year.
yeah,
So maybe it was 2022. I don't know. They all become the same, right?
yeah, yeah. But
Give me a
she's
break.
definitely going to win this year for sure.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it was 2022 when she won for
Mark my
No
words.
Time to Die. Yeah. And I was rooting for Lin-Manuel Miranda to win that year and he didn't. So,
Oh,
there
okay.
you go. Okay. Well, silly me for thinking otherwise. Shame on me. What kind of
So
host
if
am
if
I?
you got a chance to go to the Academy Awards, would you wear a traditional suit or would you try to be a little bit more creative and wear something outside of the box?
That's a great question. Um, huh. Part of me wants to say I want to go traditional just to look, see, oh, that guy cleans up well, type of thing in a standard tux, with a black bow tie and whatnot. But kind of me also would want to push, not push the boundaries, but just find something fun and funky to wear.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think I try to go the creative route. Why not? I mean, it's a creative industry.
Mhm.
So it's not like you're attending some political function or something that's
That's true.
straight and narrow. This is for creative endeavors. So yeah, I would definitely try to come up with something creative, something maybe Gucci or something like that. I don't know.
But haven't we talked maybe about a little bit about this before? In that the Grammys are more of the time for that type of uh
I think they
creativity.
traditionally, yeah, are a little bit more laxed than the Academy Awards,
Hmm.
but I think that now the Academy Awards are becoming a little bit more relaxed as well, and people are being a little bit more creative when it comes to their attire.
Do you think that's because they're trying to reach a younger demographic? And
Absolutely.
yeah, okay, so that maybe they're tired of like their ratings dropping, and they see that the older generations are not watching as much, so they're honing in on who the next crop of TV viewers is going to be.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I can see that. But also this year, the Academy Awards are going to be at a different time, so it's no longer going to be a prime time on the West Coast. Now it's going to be prime time on the East Coast. I think it's
Oh,
a
okay.
4 p.m. start,
Oh, wow.
which is different.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why are
That's
we
really
always
funny.
why are we always going East Coast bias? Kind of makes me mad. Everything gets East Coast bias, but that's a different story for a different show.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I didn't get East Coast bias because she lives in the Midwest is our guest interview that I had on. And that's with a film buff, film enthusiast, Lindsay Riffle. And if you like, I think we should just go ahead and play that right now.
Yeah, that's it.
With our Academy Awards show, we are very thrilled to be welcoming a film buff, film enthusiast, film whatever. Well, I don't know. Welcome, Lindsay Riffle, to the show. Lindsay, thank you for taking some time to chat with us here at PopCultX.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Now, would you call yourself more an enthusiast, a buff, or is there like a specific title that you maybe...
Honestly, just a fan. This is just kind of my hobby. I just an overall fan. I just really enjoy watching movies. That's just as plain and simple.
I couldn't have said it any better, and I didn't, so thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Lindsay. How did you get into becoming this huge fan of cinema?
Sure. So I grew up just kind of watching movies, and my family and I would sit down and watch the Oscars or the award shows every year. And it was so much fun watching, them walk the red carpet. And, as I grew older, I would want to be, feel like more involved. So I would try to watch as many of the nominees as I could. So then I felt like I was making more of an informed opinion about who was winning and whatever. So did they deserve it? Maybe, maybe not, kind of thing. So it made it a little bit more fun. And I just kind of kept that going. So awesome. it's been fun. I don't
Well, you've been watching the Oscars for a while, you said, growing up with your family.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite film, Oscar-winning film, that maybe just like stands out above the rest?
Well, I mean, it didn't win Best Picture, but my favorite movie ever is Pulp Fiction. It just kind of stands out in that it did a really good job in that it kind of mixed violence and humor, and it did so in kind of the best way possible. Yeah. So, for instance, my dad said he didn't like it the first time he watched it. So I said, go back and watch it as a comedy. Came back to me and said, okay, you're right. I loved it.
Okay.
So kind of just broke all the rules, kind of stood out, the nonlinear storytelling.
Bingo. Yep.
You know what I mean? Everything else kind of seemed like it was all the same up until that point for a while. Yeah. I don't know how else to describe it, but and the dialogue, the dialogue, the writing is just insane. It's so good. That Tarantino writing is just legendary. Yeah. So it did win screenplay, I believe, that year. So that
Oscar winning. There you go.
So that one stands out. And it still does, but
absolutely. Yeah, I think that was one of the first, like you said, nonlinear films that I saw. And it was just like, wow, you can do that. You don't have to tell the story from beginning to end. You can jump around.
Like you don't have to make sure people are paying attention, like, or they, if they aren't paying attention, it's okay. Like it is what it is. Like you don't have to really gear in and make sure you're telling it, laying it all out there for everybody. They can figure it out along the way. So
it was, that was, I remember watching that the first time, and the soundtrack, my goodness, the soundtrack was just awesome.
The soundtrack is so good.
And it's just like, whew. So good pick. Excellent pick. Now, of course, there are a lot of nominees this year, which also have great soundtracks.
Oh my gosh,
Barbie is one of them right now.
Yes, absolutely. It's a great soundtrack.
Which is also for best movie picture as well, but not for best director, which was kind of controversial.
Yeah, I was surprised, especially since she's been nominated in the past, Greta Gerwig. That was a shocker. I was surprised that Ryan Gosling, of all people, well, I guess America Ferrera got a nomination too, but I was surprised to see that, Margot Robbie was left out too. It's hard though, because there's so many great nominees. So like when you factor that in and you try to figure out who would you eliminate, I don't know. You know, like I have a hard time with that. So that's when it kind of gets, especially with director, like all those directors are so solid. I'm not saying that Greta Gerwig isn't solid, but it is tough to eliminate one of those to like factor her in. Obviously, she definitely deserves to be in there. I wish there were 6, right? But that's when it becomes tough. So,
well, here's a question now. We'll get to the nominees for each category, major categories, in a little bit. But one thing that really stood out to me was that an actress who's up for leading, an actress in a leading role, that's Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall. 2 of the movies she was in are nominated for Best Picture and Best Director.
yes.
So is she like almost a shoo-in to win Best Actress just because she elevated 2 films?
You would think so. I mean, she was phenomenal in both, I will say. The Zone of Interest was disturbing, to say the least, especially with it having no violence. It was bizarre. Very little violence, you know.
Okay, I haven't seen that one yet.
Can't even pinpoint any violence in it. It was just very bizarre how, you know, you saw the lives of them on the other side of the fence from the concentration camp. So it was just so nonchalant when everything that was happening on the other side was just horrific. But she was great. It actually kind of showed just how evil the women were too. Just not so obvious, but like, you know, again, so nonchalant, you know? And I don't think that's been portrayed very well in the past. It's always like, you know, the guys.
It's always the men who are doing right.
So I think that was a little of what was disturbing. You know, it's just, here I am carrying on my day, like taking care of my family. Here, let's, you know, whatever. And that was just kind of what was disturbing about it. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. I thought, again, very strong category. So it's going to be tough. But yeah, she was phenomenal in both, I will say. So Anatomy of a Fall, she was fantastic. So, but it does say a lot that she did carry both of those movies. It was very, very impressive.
Well, since we're talking about actress or Sandra Hüller, let's go ahead and dive into some predictions in some of the categories.
Sure.
And we'll start off with actress in a leading role, since we're talking about that. So the nominees, of course, are Annette Bening for Nyad, Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller, I think I'm saying her last name right. Anatomy of a Fall.
Honestly, I'm not sure either.
Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and Emma Stone for Poor Things. Now, do you have a favorite that you want to win? And also, who do you think will win?
Yes. So I have a favorite who I would love to win, and that's Emma Stone. Poor Things was outstanding. She was great. It was a very unique role. We have not seen a role like that. At least I have not seen a role like that. I don't know if you saw it, but it was very, very unique. In every way, shape, or form, you know, because she portrayed this very like young soul beginning out, or in the beginning, and then just kind of like matured as the movie went on. So just outstanding. But, you know, I think Lily Gladstone might take this one. Now, granted, I thought she was phenomenal as well. And I love all these things that have come out about her being most likely to win an Oscar when she was in school. I thought that was so great. And here she is, you know, showing up at the Oscars. So, you know, good for her. I thought she was great in Killers of the Flower Moon. So honestly, I'd be super ecstatic if either of them won. So
that's cool. I could see either of them winning. I mean, when I saw the trailer of Poor Things, I haven't watched it yet. It gave me that same vibe of like, what was that movie? Like The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. It had that same strange quality to it. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, I like that movie. I should like this one. So I'm looking forward to watching Poor Things, hopefully before the Oscars come out, are presented.
Yes, definitely try to make that high priority, because it was I was blown away. It was such a beautiful movie too, just like visually stunning. Just I don't know. They took a lot of time on those sets.
But let's go right into the next actress role, and that's actress in a supporting role. And the nominees, of course, are Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, America Ferrera for Barbie, Jodie Foster for Nyad, and Davine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. Same question, favorite and who do you think will win?
I definitely think this is going to go to Divine. The Holdovers was awesome.
It was. I did see that one.
so great. And she was great. Her performance was so emotional. Just an emotional roller coaster. She, it was comedic. It was, she showed so much emotion in it, on so many levels. I think this one's the easiest one, I think, to call at this point. That's just my opinion. I would be shocked if anyone else took this one, but we'll see.
Yeah,
you got some powerhouses in there, though. I mean, you got Jodie Foster, and she was great in Nyad, but I just don't think, I don't think it was like a standout.
I guess the question is, if that character wasn't in the film, would it have the same weight, right? So could Nyad have happened if they didn't show the coach that Jodie Foster portrayed?
Right.
Probably, but without Davine Joy Randolph's character in The Holdovers, it kind of almost doesn't make sense. She makes that movie. Yeah, yes. I agree. Yeah. I would pick her as well.
Yep.
Okay, let's go right into the gentleman in a leading role.
All right.
And these are some powerhouses too. My goodness.
Yes.
Bradley Cooper for Maestro. Or is it Bradley Cooper's prosthetics? No.
Exactly.
Coleman Domingo in Rustin, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction.
This one's tough for me as well. I'd love to see Cillian finally win or get some recognition. But Paul Giamatti, I think he's due. He was fantastic as well. So honestly, either one of them, I would really be excited to see win. Jeffrey Wright, I just saw American Fiction last night. He was fantastic in that. That was delightfully funny, and but was important too, I guess. So it was good. But yeah, tough category, but I would love to see Paul Giamatti win an Oscar for this, for The Holdovers. He was great.
He was great. And I think it was a sneaky kind of great.
Yeah.
Like it kind of like snuck up on you how insightful and how comedic his character was. And so I couldn't agree with you on Paul Giamatti. I mean, Jeffrey Wright's such a talented actor though. And so it's really going to be tough. That's a tough one, but yeah, I could go with Paul Giamatti very easily.
Yeah. And I, going into or walking out of Oppenheimer, I could have told you that Cillian Murphy was going to take that, but then I see The Holdovers, around Thanksgiving, and I'm like, I don't know, we'll see.
I just barely watched Oppenheimer this past weekend. So I would agree. Cillian Murphy was wonderful, but I don't want to say he was great, but it was also the ensemble cast around him.
Absolutely. I think that really made that a role.
Yeah. So like Downey Jr. surprised me in his portrayal of his character. And then of course, Emily Blunt and just everyone else in it. So it was really a fantastic cast that Nolan created for that film. So yeah, we'll go Giamatti. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Let's go ahead and move right along to the actor in a supporting role. And the nominees, of course, are Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction, Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling for Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things. Your thoughts?
My pick, my very passionate pick, honestly, is Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things.
Okay.
He was outstanding. Super funny. I think that's why I'm I loved him in this movie. And I'm actually super bummed that Willem Dafoe didn't get nominated for it. I think that he really deserved a nomination for this, because he was fantastic as well. But Mark Ruffalo, he was, the comedic relief of the movie. I mean, the whole movie was so funny, but he was just just next level funny. And it was just different from a lot of his typical roles. But I do think Downey Jr. is going to take it. I do think, but if anyone were to surprise us, I could see Mark Ruffalo coming, as the dark horse. We'll see.
I mean, I could get behind that. I'm a huge Ruffalo fan outside of his, I like him as the Hulk, but also outside of his roles, like Just Like Heaven, Begin Again. Those are two of my favorite films. So, I haven't watched Poor Things, but I agree. I mean, he's such a talented actor and also a great activist too. So if you can combine them both, why not?
Yeah. Yep. I don't have anything negative to say about him. Not that that should take a, not that that should play a role. I don't have anything negative to say about Robert Downey Jr. either, but
I mean, what would happen? I mean, I could see, just because of the character's arc in Barbie, Ryan Gosling, I'm a huge fan of him. He could be the dark horse coming in and winning this.
Honestly, you never know. I loved him in that movie too. Talk about funny. It was great. And talk about stepping out from your normal role.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
That's I mean, the whole lineup there. Obviously, Robert De Niro has already won 2. I don't see that happening. He was great in Killers of the Flower Moon, but I don't see that happening. Sterling K. Brown was kind of a surprise nomination, mainly because he wasn't in the movie a ton. Like, it didn't really stand out, but when he was in the movie, he was great. So watching it last night, it kind of solidified that. I was like, okay, I get that. And he's a great actor too. I like him in pretty much everything I've seen him in. So again, another very solid lineup of nominees. So it's tough.
Yeah. Well, at least it's enjoyable too.
Yes, exactly.
Another one of my favorite categories is the animated feature film. I'm not sure if you were able to see these or not, but that's the next one I want to scoot on over to.
Yeah.
So the nominees, of course, are The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Robot Dreams, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Any thoughts on those?
Okay, so I'm super behind on animated this year. But I love Studio Ghibli, like anything, so I'm gonna just blindly go with Boy and the Heron, because I'm just confident that that's a beautiful film, because they all are. I don't know if you saw that or not. I have not seen it yet.
I haven't watched that one. I think I watched Elemento, Nimona, and Spider-Man.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on those? Like,
I mean, my favorite out of those was Spider-Man, just because the whole Spider-Man Miles Morales connection. I'm a huge fan of that.
For sure. Yeah.
But Nimona was terrific.
Okay.
It really was. And I could, watching that, just the and we did a whole episode before about that movie, and it was just the way the character learned to accept herself and learn to get help from others. It was just beautifully done. So awesome. I'm gonna pick Nimona.
All right,
go with that.
Good to know. Good to know. Okay, I need to binge watch those before a couple weeks from now.
There you go. Got some watching to do. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and go into one of the big categories, and that is directing.
All right.
So we have our nominees for Anatomy of a Fall, Justine Triet; Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin Scorsese; Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan; Poor Things, Yorgos Lanthimos. I'm butchering names, I'm sorry. The Zone of Interest by Jonathan Glazer. Thoughts?
So I am a huge Christopher Nolan fan, and this guy is long, long, long overdue for some recognition, some real recognition, as in a win for anything. This is the first year he's won like anything. I don't know if you've looked at any of his stats, but he has won nothing up until this year. Golden Globes, none of it. You know,
oh wow,
maybe
I did not know that.
BAFTA,
That's amazing.
Maybe a BAFTA, maybe, I don't know, but no wins.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he is long overdue. In my opinion, his filmography is perfect, like, or pretty close.
Yeah.
So I hope he wins. Now, I am also a huge Yorgos Lanthimos fan. Huge. So I'd love, if Nolan doesn't get it, I'd love to see Lanthimos take it. Okay. But I mean, his movies are all very quirky, dark, odd humor. You know, so I'm into that too. I love The Lobster, The Favorite.
Oh, okay.
You know, Dogtooth was bizarre. I loved it. So, you know, if you haven't seen many of his movies, definitely check him out.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, that's sounds like right up my alley. So
yeah, he's great. So honestly, I'd be happy with either of them winning it. I don't think Lanthimos has gotten enough. I don't know. I guess press, for lack of a better word. I don't know. That's not the right word, but you know, at least this award season. But I think Nolan's gonna get it. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I think this is
agree with you.
This is his time.
This is a debate my co-host Gabe and I have a lot about the Oscars. Now, is it Nolan's body of work that's getting the win, or is it just Oppenheimer? Is it Yorgos Lanthimos' body of work that maybe hasn't elevated him to the win yet, or is it Poor Things?
Yeah. But honestly, with Lanthimos, I think Poor Things, I mean, he outdid himself. Like it's probably his.
He set his bar really high for his next
quote
film.
unquote best work. Again, my opinion. But with Nolan, I do think Oppenheimer's up there, but it's hard because a lot of his films have been up there. Like they've, you know, I mean, you have Inception, you have Interstellar, you have Memento, you have, you know,
the Dark Knight trilogy, you have,
right. Like, I mean, it's hard to pinpoint, like, where was his peak? Is this his peak? You know,
Dunkirk was great too. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the fact that he, you know, there's no CGI, which is kind of his style. Yeah. And like, if you've seen the movie, I mean, like, it's pretty phenomenal in today's age. Like, to do all of that, I mean,
I agree.
You know, without any help from a computer, basically, is pretty phenomenal. I mean, that's just one piece of the puzzle, but you know, is this his magnum opus? Probably. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm all in on Nolan winning this. Really am.
Good. So, I think so. I think it's finally his time, but we'll see. We've all seen the Academy, you know, revert and pick somebody different. So
yeah, true.
We'll see what happens.
Okay. One of my favorite categories, and especially like how they invite the artist to perform on stage, there's original songs, is of course the original song. So the nominees are The Fire Inside from Flaming Hot, I'm Just Ken from Barbie, It Never Went Away from American Symphony, and I'm gonna butcher this, Wahazahazi from Killers of the Flower Moon, and What Was I Made For from Barbie. Now, I want to see Ryan Gosling sing at the Oscars, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I was just about to
say, I agree. You know, I'm not super like gung ho about any of the songs like I normally am this year, but that would be amazing if they had to, like, if he had to get up there, you know. I know that when Matt Stone and Trey Parker were nominated. Well, I guess Trey Parker was nominated for Blame Canada for the South Park movie. I know that Robin Williams performed it on their behalf. So I don't know if...
Okay.
But that was when all the nominated ones, I don't know if they still do that. Do all the nominated songs still perform at the ceremony?
So for the most part, they do.
So I don't know if they're going to force him to get up there or not, or if somebody's going to have to perform it on their behalf. So I'm not sure how that works. But either way, yeah, I hope that if he does win, or if that song does win, he's forced to go up there and do it. That would be awesome. Yeah, so just on that alone, absolutely, I agree with you.
I mean, one of my favorite performances in recent history, of course, is the Lady Gaga, Bradley Cooper rendition, right? So I'm taking that vibe and transferring it to Ryan Gosling, and I want him upstage at just a piano.
yes, just like a low key, like
exactly
acoustic, like just him and one instrument, like that would be
awesome.
Just very watered down version. Oh yes, I love it. Not even him dancing or singing or dancing around, just singing and in one instrument.
Like a lounge act, right? Like just a piano and him. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yes. I love it. I love that idea.
Do you have a favorite of who you think is gonna win?
For song?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with I'm just Ken. Let's just go with that.
Let's do it, yeah.
Let's do it.
I like it. I mean,
let's ride with that.
I mean, it was music and lyric. Mark Ronson was involved with it, and of course he collaborated a lot with Lady Gaga. So there, my whole comes together. My whole theory. So.
Yes, we have reasoning. It's fine.
Well, I do have a lot of other questions, and I'm gonna save the best picture to the end here for our predictions. So I want to just veer off of this for right now, and let's talk a little bit about maybe some snubs and surprises that you might have seen from this year's nominees. Was there any that were left out, or any that surprised you?
Yeah, honestly, so I thought there were a couple movies that I thought were just kind of omitted altogether. The Iron Claw was great.
Yes.
Holt McCallany was fantastic. I know a lot of people were talking about Zac Efron. He was great, but I thought Holt McCallany deserved a supporting nod. Again, not sure who I would eliminate in that category to make room for him because it's such a strong year. But I thought he was great. He was terrifying as the dad. I think everybody has known somebody either directly in their family or kind of, known a family in sports or something whose dad is like that, super intense. So it just kind of brought back, somebody you might have known from your childhood or whatever growing up. It was scary and just very realistic. I thought Charles Melton in May December was also fantastic. I thought he did a really good job. I thought May December in general was kind of snubbed out. I thought for sure we'd see more representation there. Greta Lee for Past Lives definitely deserved a nomination. She was fantastic. She's always fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard good things about that movie too. So
yes, it is great. And then another one's kind of a hot take. I'm gonna go with Joaquin Phoenix for Beau is Afraid. I thought Beau is Afraid was well, it's still with me. I saw it in theaters, and let's just put it that way. Okay. It's still with me. Ari Aster has a way of making movies that stick with you. And
yeah, he does.
it stayed with me. And I thought his performance was fantastic in that as well. So
another 3-hour long movie.
Yes, it was very, very long.
I was almost started watching that like at midnight last night. Then I saw that it was 3 hours long.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, okay. I'll wait.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a ride. It's a ride for sure. So
you mentioned diversity. Now the Oscars and some of the Golden Globes, of course, are pretty notorious in their lack of diversity and representation. Do you think the Academy has made efforts to kind of diversify or ease that?
I think they've made efforts. I think there's always going to be room for improvement, obviously. You know, it's always apparent that it's, you know, the lack of diversity is there. I don't know a lot about the actual members of the Academy, like who is in it, because I feel like it's ever changing. But I feel like there's definitely a lack of diversity there, just judging by, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I hear you.
I think, you know, I think they put out that those qualifications or whatever a few years ago. I guess I can't even remember what they are, but in efforts to, hey, we're making changes kind of thing. But I don't know. I don't even think that they were real rules. I think it still allows pretty much everyone to qualify, you know. So I think, yes, are they moves in the right direction? Yes. But obviously there's always going to be room for improvement.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I think there are obviously a lot of talented actors and actresses out there that are snubbed. And I don't want to say that it's directly because of their race, but I'm sure it has been, you know, especially in years past. So I don't want to, I mean, I do think that they're taking steps in the right direction. So that's promising.
Yeah.
But yes, there is still a lack of diversity. Absolutely. Which is unfortunate. So.
Yeah, I guess as long as us as fans keep demanding that, you know, representation and diversity, then they'll eventually be forced to make further efforts.
Yes, I did see though that after the Oscar So White hashtag was released, there has been, and you know, I mean, it's still a very small percentage, but I think it doubled, like the percentage of nominees doubled since that hashtag. So, I mean, if anything, I mean, it's not justified. It's not like, oh, it's fixed, but at least it kind of proves that if you do speak out and you know, it does make a difference. So I can't remember where I saw that, but it did say, you know, like the percentage of nominees did double. Like it was still a small percentage, but
that's a improvements.
It's promise. Correct.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that Pulp Fiction was like your favorite Oscar-winning film. Has there been any other winning or nominated films that have personally impacted you, or maybe that's, you know, change your perspective on any issues or anything like that?
Honestly, movies as a whole kind of like, you know, have changed me, but gosh, to pinpoint one is tough. I remember, honestly, I don't even know if it won anything, but Room really stuck with me, and it doesn't even like bring up any particular issues per se, but I remember it just really sticking with me for a while. Moonlight was another one that was recent. Gosh, there's just so many.
There's so many movies, and it's so hard.
So many.
I
so many movies
understand.
affect me, and I walk out and I'm like, life-changing. It's just life-changing, I'll tell you. And then I just like, boop, you know. Honestly, Parasite was another, you know, again, not any particular, I guess like class issues were raised in that one. So, you know, it kind of like, but I mean, we know that exists. It just kind of like emphasized it in such a graphic manner. But it was, you know, that was kind of nice because it was like a movie. Okay, if you want to see the best picture winner, you got to read subtitles. Like, you know, it was a nice change, you know, in modern day anyway. So, and it was amazing. I was just so happy that it won, and oh, so good. And I have nothing negative to say about it. That was another one. Whiplash was fantastic. That's another recent one that was so good. And man, talk about another scary represented role. Oh my gosh.
That was, I saw that not too long ago. That was just intense.
It was so intense. I was like sweating. And speaking of sweating, Uncut Gems was another one. I was like sweating the whole time. One of the most stressful movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, that was another one. Yeah.
Just a lot of movies that they just stick with you, and it just kind of always rotates, you know? I mean, it just, honestly, if I could sit here for like 24 hours, I could probably give you a ton more. So, but anyway.
Well, let me ask you this. So the Academy Awards, as you said, growing up was a huge thing for your family and you. And now as you're watching it on your own here, or however you prepare for it, is there any traditions you like to do for it? I know some people, like for sports events, they tailgate, or they have like certain traditions, you know. Do you like just close all the doors, turn off all devices and say, you know what, leave me alone for 3 hours, I'm watching? How do you prepare for it? What's your fun traditions for the Oscars?
Really? So I do like to kind of try to predict winners. You know, I do like to try to do that. Not necessarily, just kind of to myself. And then,
well, not this year.
Yeah, exactly. Not this year. Now everybody knows. But, and then again, I try to watch as many of the nominees as I can in all the categories. So that's really how I prepare. Do I always watch the ceremony live? Not necessarily. I will say that. I try to, but I don't always watch it. It is very, very long. I know they've tried to cut it down, but it is just, it seems like they haven't. It seems like it's longer every year. I don't know if you feel that way, but I do. But anyway, so I do try to do that in preparation. But man, does a tailgate sound fun?
Why not, right?
Right.
It's a 3-hour-long event, so you got to
that's honestly great. That's like the Super Bowl. So
there you go. It is the Super Bowl for movies. Yeah. Have you had a favorite host for shows you've seen?
Oh gosh. Honestly, I'm gonna go with Billy Crystal.
Yeah, he's classic. Yeah.
Can't go wrong with Billy Crystal.
I was gonna say Hugh Jackman was probably one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, he was good.
He was great. I love his song and dance routine. So
yeah.
And now, is there anyone you'd like to see hosted that maybe hasn't done so far?
It's never gonna happen. But let's go with Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Okay, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, Billy or Seth MacFarlane did it. So let's
Seth
see.
MacFarlane's a good one. I like
let's
him.
see Trey Parker and Matt Stone do it. I don't think they'd ever do it. It'd be way too controversial. But I would love to see it.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Why not? So I have one last fun question, and then we'll get to our best picture predictions.
Sure.
So the fun question I have for you: if you could create a new category, what would it be?
So I think there's room for like casting director somewhere. I think that could be fun. They don't get any credit, and I think that stands out in a lot of movies in particular. I also think like a non-practical, what's the word? Like a role similar to like Andy Serkis in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Like similar to that. I know it wouldn't actually be something every year. But if there was some sort of like, not lifetime achievement, but like a one-off type thing where you didn't have nominees necessarily, but if you could create some sort of recognition for that, because I mean, that takes a lot of work too.
Yeah.
I know that there was talk about, giving him some sort of nomination or whatever. I know there were whispers or whatever, but it was kind of like, how do we do this? But that's a lot of work. That's a very different take on it. I don't know what you would call it.
Could you roll that into one category that I've seen bounced about is stunt performers.
Yeah. So I think so. I think you could
Roll that into
somehow.
there, I think.
I think
right?
stunts could be great too. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that too. Absolutely.
Okay. So we'll petition the Academy for stunt.
Yes. Yes. More recognition for people that are physically all over the place.
Exactly. That are doing the dangerous stuff, right?
Not that everybody's already not. I know that everybody works hard in film, but
yeah. Well, right on. Let's get to our final category here, and it's the one with the most nominees, of course, and that's Best Picture. Now, nominees we have American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. That's a tough one.
It is so tough. They're all great. I mean, I'm going to have to go with Oppenheimer, right? Like, I'm going to have to go with Oppenheimer. In a perfect world, it would be Poor Things because it was maybe my favorite of the year. But I'd be happy with either Poor Things or Oppenheimer, but I do think it's going to go to Oppenheimer. I really do. I think, you know, it's a standout this year. I do think so.
I will agree. I mean, I do think Oppenheimer is going to take it. I mean, I could get behind The Holdovers. The
Holdovers was great. That was odd. Alexander Payne, no nomination for directing. Also,
yeah,
I thought that was weird.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I have watched more of them before we did this, but of the ones I have seen, Oppenheimer will take it. I mean, I see Maestro. It was good. I mean, Cooper's performance was good as Leonard Cohen, but I'm just gonna go Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My problem with Maestro is I went in not knowing much about him, but then I left
not knowing much about him.
About the same, you know? I was like,
yeah, I can understand that. I mean, I get that.
What did we learn? You know? But I mean, yeah, the acting was good.
Yeah, I totally get that, especially since it spanned his whole life, right?
Right.
So if it was just like maybe a weekend, which some films
they should have condensed it down or something. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is there, but I was like, what did we learn here? I don't know. I just didn't feel like I learned much about his like legacy or anything, you know?
That's true. That's a good point.
But that was my problem with that movie. But I mean, you know, the acting was great. Carey Mulligan's always great.
Yeah.
You know, I'm excited to see Bradley Cooper make more movies. I think he's
I agree.
Awesome.
I do. I want to see. I always liked his acting style and what he brings to the screen. So
yeah,
come on, Cooper, do more.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So
well, Lindsay, I like to always end our conversations, since we are a pop culture podcast, with a question about what you're currently watching, reading, listening to, besides movies, I guess, or outside of the Academy Awards. Can you share with us a little bit of that?
Oh gosh. Well, what am I listening to? I'm listening to a band that I love called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Awesome and name. I recommend it to any and all people. Go listen.
Look them up.
Yes. They are fantastic. Best band out there right now. Let's see, what am I watching right now? Oh my gosh. I've been watching Expats on Prime. Then I've been watching the Truman Capote with the swans. Yeah, that's pretty good. He's not like as great as Philip Seymour Hoffman,
but he's pretty great. Yeah, that was my
Yeah.
whole fear. Is like, how are they going to top Seymour Hoffman? Because
That's how I was too going in, but he's pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm impressed, but yeah, not as good as Philip Seymour Hoffman. I don't think anybody can beat his performance in Capote. But yeah, both are pretty good. They're entertaining. I mean, I'm waiting each week for episodes, which we're spoiled now. It's like, this is awful. Why do we do this?
So I'm guessing that you prefer the binge model as opposed to the
Absolutely.
episodic.
Oh my gosh, now that we've gotten that, I mean, having to wait week by week like we always did. Oh my gosh, it's the worst. It's like waiting forever. But
Yeah, people
yeah.
now or kids nowadays don't know the real struggle of having to wait each week and then having to sit through commercials, and
Yeah.
there's no like pausing it. There was no rewinding it if you missed it. And yeah.
Yeah. And if you missed it, you had to record it like on a VHS tape.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, this was before TiVo and stuff.
Exactly.
Like TiVo. Oh my God.
That's like old as well. Yeah, my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, but pre-old TiVo, you had to stick a blank VHS tape in a VCR, and record it. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
What a mess.
Hey, we lived through some good times there, though.
Yeah.
Well, Lindsay, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. We appreciate your insights. We appreciate you taking some time to chat with us.
Of course.
And we look forward to seeing how many of your predictions come true.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited. And thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
Take care, Lindsay. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Take care.
So, yeah, thanks again, Lindsay, for taking some time to share with us your knowledge, your thoughts, your film expertise, I'll say, because that's what it was to me. You know a lot more about me. And we could talk film, like we said, for hours there. So thanks again, Lindsay. And now I think the time has come, Gabe, for you to give your predictions, because if you've been watching the interview, you saw that I already gave mine. So let's go ahead and get into some of those predictions, if you will.
Okay. Well, I think for best film, I think it's going to be Oppenheimer.
Oh, you want to go straight there? Not even any buildup, right? You're just going to...
Why not? Why not start at the top?
You're like, nope, we're going to the end right now. So the episode's over. Okay, Oppenheimer. So I agree completely.
Yeah, I think that's almost a sure bet.
Yeah, it was such a great film. Christopher Nolan's is it Magnus Opus or something like that? Just his crowning achievement. Although Dark Knight was great, Interstellar was great, Inception was great, but this just really was above and beyond. And the way I don't want to say corralled, but the way he brought all those big stars to give their performances. I just thought it was something else.
Yeah.
Okay, so since we're doing that, let's go ahead and just go right into one we haven't talked about yet, and that's Best Director. The nominees for Best Director are, as soon as I find it, because they're not where they're supposed to be. The nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, Justin Triet, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, and Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest.
That's a really hard category, because I think that there's some really good people nominated, but I would have to say that Christopher Nolan is going to win.
Yeah, I agree. And especially if other things line up, they tend to come in waves, don't they? If one award falls for Oppenheimer, then the other starts going and it starts building up. So yeah, I think he'll win that. I mean, Martin Scorsese finally got his. Now it's time for Christopher Nolan to get his.
Yeah.
Let's do another the animated feature film. Did you get to watch any of those? And I'll tell you what they were.
Yeah, I think I'm going to, I guess no, but go ahead and let me know what they are. Maybe myself.
Okay. The films are The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Robot Dreams, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
I saw one.
No, maybe you saw two. Did you ever watch Nimona? I think we talked about that in an episode.
Nimona. Oh, I think is that the little redhead?
Yeah, the shape-shifting demon or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw two.
Okay. Out of those two, which do you think will win then?
Of those two, I would have to go with Spider-Man.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was my favorite, but I'm rooting for Nimona, the little demon that could.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. I think that that's always a fun category to watch because
Yeah,
they're so fun to watch, and they're a lot of times a lot different. The films themselves are a big contrast between each other, so it's always fun to see what they end up going with.
absolutely correct. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Okay, so now we're going to reverse order from where the nominees that I read you. So let's start with actress in a supporting role. Who's your prediction there?
I really would like to see Jodie Foster win.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. But
That was a really good role. I think yeah, I want to see Jodie Foster win. Let's say that.
okay. I think I'll stick with my choice of Devine Joy Randolph for the holdovers. She was fantastic in that movie.
I think you're right. I think that she is probably going to win. She did a really great job. I just really love Jodie Foster.
Yeah. Oh, it was good. I mean, it was a great movie and she did a great job in there. But if you take away her role, like I said, in that film, if she's not in it, does the film still hold up? Right? Does Annette Bening do enough to carry that film by herself? And I think yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, she did it. She was fantastic in that as well. Okay, so actress in a leading role. Um, who's your prediction on this one?
Yeah, Lily Gladstone all the way.
Yeah, I agree with you. Although, like I said during our guest interview, Sandra Hüller should be, I think, given some recognition only because she was in two of the movies that were nominated for both Best Director and Best Picture.
Yeah.
So, hey, if she elevated two films to Academy Award nomination status, maybe, there's something there. But I agree. Gladstone all the way.
Yeah, Emma Stone, I think would be. I wouldn't be disappointed if Emma Stone won as well.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Actor in a supporting role. Who's your choice?
Robert De Niro.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I chose Robert Downey Jr.
Don't say it. I can't with Robert Downey Jr.
Why? What's wrong with Downey Jr.?
It's a long story, but people can Google his comments that he made about a Mexican director who made a comment about him and his work. Really childish and sort of semi-racist.
Okay, interesting.
That really turned me off to him.
I didn't know that. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I just really am turned off by him now. So I'm not a fan.
Okay. That's fair enough. No, I did not know about that. I'll have to
Yeah,
Google
it's not a well-known story, but I found out about it and since then have been holding a grudge against him.
No, that's fair enough. Okay. So you're going down, Downey Jr.
Yeah. Robert De Niro hopefully will win.
Or Ryan Gosling. He's my dark horse.
Yeah,
how cool would
that's
that
true.
be?
Yeah, that's very true.
I think Gosling is a fantastic actor, such underrated. He brings so much to every film he's in. So yeah, I'd be thrilled to see him win.
Yeah, same.
Okay, for actor in a leading role, who's your choice?
Cillian Murphy is going to win for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Giamatti was great. Cooper was very locked in, but I don't know. I just him and his prosthetic jawline, I think, were just maybe a little too much. But yeah, I agree with you. Cillian Murphy is going to win.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, what other category did you want to get into? Did we miss any?
I think those are like the main ones.
Yeah.
Best song is going to be Billie Eilish.
Yeah,
she's definitely going to win.
Yeah, definitely. It added so much, and it was perfect accompaniment to the movie, especially when it came out in the movie. It was just perfect.
Yeah. I'm not a huge Billie Eilish fan, but she's gonna win.
Okay. So snubs, I mean, I think we talked about Barbie director and Margot Robbie being snubbed. Any others that you might have liked to have seen be nominated that maybe weren't?
I think Willem Dafoe did a really great job. Um,
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
yeah, and so that's a snub for sure. I mean, I think that there's so many people that are nominated, like it's hard to limit it. But he definitely did a really great job this year with his role. I forget the name of the movie.
Oh,
Sad Poor Things.
poor things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he did a great job in Poor Things.
Yep. Fair enough. Which I haven't seen, and I will. I promise.
You definitely it's a trip, and the visuals of it are just really really great.
Yeah, like I told Lindsay, is that it really reminded me of the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus when I
Okay,
saw the trailer. I don't know if you remember that film, the Terry and Gilliam film.
yeah,
So when I saw it, I was like, wow, that kind of reminds me of that. And that was a trip. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, yeah, very good.
Do we predict any controversy during the awards show? I mean, of course, we have the
But
slap. I don't think anything can top
yeah,
that.
there's not going to be any physical brutality, I don't think. I think that people are probably going to be asking for a call for a ceasefire, just because that is kind of on
Ooh,
the forefront of everyone's minds right now.
that's true.
So I think some people are going to take the advantage of their platform and will probably say something. I wouldn't be surprised if that creates a dialogue. Um,
That's a good point.
so,
Very good point.
so I think that we might see some calls for a ceasefire on the show.
Especially if De Niro does win. He is very um open with his dislike of certain political members,
Yeah,
and he is very willing to speak his mind. So I'd be interested to see what he has to say if he does win.
yeah. See, another reason for Robert Downey Jr. to not win.
There you go.
Yeah.
um so I think one of the things that I touched on with Lindsay was the Oscars attempt to be more diverse and diversify. So I'd like to get your thoughts on that. Do you think they've been doing a good job of diversifying the how white the Oscars is?
Yeah, I think that they've done better. It is not, perfect, but I think that they have attempted to do better, and they have done a better job than in the past.
Hmm.
I think that this year we will see hopefully Lily Gladstone win, for Native American representation. You definitely have seen a lot more people of color nominated. So hopefully we see some wins. Um, Greta Gerwig was I guess snubbed. So that was a loss for some. Some people think that was kind of um, you know she deserved to be nominated, and Margot Robbie as well.
Hmm.
I don't really know if that's the case. I think that Margot Robbie did a great job, but there certainly was tough competition for
Yeah.
Best Actress. So um, yeah, I think that they've done a better job. It's not perfect, but it's enough for me to tune in and to like root for people like Lily Gladstone to win, and not completely ban the Oscars. So,
Yep. Fair enough.
you
Is
know,
there any category that you think should be added to the Oscars that maybe has is not there yet?
I don't know. They're pretty proficient in honoring people. Because you have the technical awards, and then you have like the main Academy Awards.
True.
So they're
That's
pretty
true.
good at trying to recognize everyone. There isn't anything that like I think that goes kind of unrecognized.
Okay. I
They're
think
pretty good at.
well, Lindsay, what I've talked about, I said stunt performers
Oh,
should somehow get some recognition. I mean, they're out there putting their bodies on the line to make everyone else
yeah.
look good. And I think they should have maybe in the technical awards even. I don't know if they do. I don't think so. But I think I'd like to see stunt performers get some recognition at some point.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I don't know if they have any sort of recognition with the Academy Awards and with the technical awards that they
Mhm.
give out. But they certainly should, because they
Yeah.
definitely it adds to the success of a film by having great stunt work.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I think Lindsay mentioned, like, what would you call it? I think the actors who perform for the CGI roles, say like Andy Serkis in Lord of the Rings type of thing, where he's Smeagol, or
Yeah.
my precious, and but he's also
Yeah.
down there, and
I mean, wouldn't that just fall under best actor or best supporting actor? Like, do you think that there would be a time that someone was nominated based off of a CGI performance, but the actor was actually recognized? Like, Mark Ruffalo for The Incredible Hulk.
Mhm.
They still showed his face. It was based off of his own,
Right.
characterizations and his voice. So would there ever be a time when an actor gets recognized in as an, just in specifically as a best actor or best supporting actor, but their face is not fully on the screen?
Uh,
It's
so it's just like a
CGI.
voiceover award, maybe. But
Yeah, yeah,
but it's more than that, because, like you said, it's their own facial expressions and nuances that contribute to that. Because not everything's verbal. There's like
yeah,
body movement cues and stuff. Yeah. So maybe,
yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not.
Maybe it is.
I don't know what the technical awards are. I'm not privy to how, which awards are given out. So I'm curious if there is a voiceover award, because you have to like think of like animation actors, things like
Mm,
that, if they get recognized.
that's a good question.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's probably something that I should look into.
Yeah, I mean, I should too. I mean, the voice over award would be really nice to have on the big stage, because especially for the animated. But then again, should those people just get into the best actor or best actress category?
Yeah.
Same type of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hmm. Things to ponder for next
Food for
year's
thought.
show. Well, I think that about wraps it up for our Academy Award show. I think I'm looking forward to seeing who the winners are. I think Jimmy
Yeah.
Kimmel will do a adequate job hosting. Um, shouldn't be any worse than anyone else. Have you ever had a favorite host of the Oscars?
I really can't say that there's a favorite. They all do an adequate job. There isn't anyone that I'm like, oh my God, like that was the best thing ever.
Okay. So none really just stood out to you, like, oh yeah, I would like to see that person do it again, or that was one of my
No.
favorites.
I mean, yeah, they're all okay. There isn't anyone that like I think that, like I said, is just brilliant at it. They're all okay.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, like, for me, I think Hugh Jackman, I would like to see him do it again. He's such
Oh,
fun to watch.
okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, on. Well, unless you have anything else for this week, I think that wraps up this show.
All right. No,
So it
I'm all,
Okay, well, out there, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for showing up. Be sure to subscribe, like, share with everyone. And hey, Gabe, you're gonna like this. I came up with a new sign-off catchphrase for us.
let's hear it.
Ready, everyone? It's stay cultured, stay curious. Until our next episode. PopCultX out.
Right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Let me drop my mic and walk away.